You know what's strange? Some people don't realize they grew up too fast until much later. At the time, it didn't feel unusual. It just felt like life. You became responsible early, you learned to stay quiet, you understood things most people your age didn't. And because of that, people often saw you as mature. But what they didn't see was what that maturity cost you. Because growing up too fast doesn't just change your behavior, it changes how you think, how you feel, and how you see yourself. You start becoming the strong one, the person who doesn't complain, who handles things quietly, who doesn't need help. Not because you never needed it, but because you got used to managing everything on your own. Over time, that becomes your identity. Even when things get difficult, you don't reach out. You just deal with it. You also learn to hide your emotions. Not always intentionally, sometimes it just feels easier. You realize that expressing how you feel doesn't always change anything, so instead, you keep it inside. You stay calm on the outside even when there's a lot happening internally. And after a while, you don't even know how to explain what you feel anymore. You become more aware than most people. You notice small changes in tone, you pick up on people's moods, you understand situations quickly. But that awareness comes with a cost, because your mind doesn't switch off easily. You think more, you analyze more, you replay things more. And sometimes you wish you could just not think so much. You might also feel out of place. Around people your age, something feels different. Not better, not worse, just different. You don't always relate to the same things. You don't react the same way. You don't see things the same way. And even when you're around others, there's a small distance you can't fully explain. You become independent, but not always by choice. You learn to rely on yourself, to solve your own problems, to keep going without waiting for support. And while that makes you strong, it also makes it harder to let people in, because depending on others feels unfamiliar. At the same time, you might struggle to relax. Even in quiet moments, your mind stays active, thinking about what needs to be done, what could go wrong, what you should be doing next. It becomes difficult to just exist without feeling like you should be doing something. And then there's something most people don't talk about. You might feel like you missed something, not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, subtle way. Moments where you could have been carefree, but instead you were thinking, worrying, understanding. And now it's hard to go back to that version of yourself. But here's the part that matters. None of this means something is wrong with you. It means you adapted. You adjusted to situations that required more from you than they should have, and your mind learned to keep up. The problem is, those patterns don't just disappear later. They stay, even when things are calmer, even when you don't need to be that version of yourself anymore. So if you recognize yourself in this, it's not a weakness. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's just something to understand. Because once you understand it, you can slowly start changing how you respond. You can start allowing yourself to feel without immediately suppressing it. You can start letting people in, even if it feels unfamiliar. You can start giving yourself permission to not always be the strong one. And maybe most importantly, you can remind yourself that you don't always have to carry everything alone. Growing up too fast changes you, but it doesn't define you forever.